Good morning and happy Monday, everyone. Ryan, we really need Javier to do like a rap over that intro music. I don't know. If you don't know, he's actually a very talented rapper, but
It's so good. It makes me move every day. Like I'm not even getting tired of it. It's just that would be hilarious to have a rap over it. Benzinga rap. Let's go.
and for those of you who are new here, my name's Jonathan. This is Ryan Faloona, and we're just telling you a little bit each day how you can use Benzinga Pro to improve your trading. And you can get a free trial at pro.benzinga.com. So Ryan, how are you doing today? How's your weekend?
My weekend was great. I'm doing great today. Happy NCAA week to you and everyone out there. It should be an exciting week. My birthday is also this week, so it's a really good week, despite being Monday. My weekend was excellent. Actually, this is the first weekend in a long time where I pretty much unplugged from all of my responsibilities. I was around a computer a little bit, but I wasn't checking email. I wasn't really taking phone calls. I was just relaxing. I was seeing some of my friends. I was going outside. We finally got some nice weather here in Chicago. So I completely unplugged. And I thought about that, and I thought, this normally for your career, like if you're not watching things about the market, stuff's happening over the weekend. Even though the market's not open, stuff is happening. And I thought to myself, this would be a really good example for our little spot on Monday, because Benzinga Pro helps me get reacclimated after spending 2 days out of the matrix, so to speak. And so I wanted to talk about what you could actually do using Benzinga Pro when you return from one of these. And so what I've got here is a blank workspace, and there's basically two things that I did today that I'm going to suggest that you do. Well, three things. The first thing is you're going to turn on Squawk, right? Because Charlie's going to read all of the breaking news for you. Now, I have it off on our demo here so that it's not going over our discussion. But the first thing that I do is I want to turn on Squawk. The next thing that I want to do is I want to check out the movers tool. We've checked this out quite a bit before, but the reason that I like this particular tool, we have a preset for it. The reason that I like this particular tool is that very, very quickly it can show me what's changing over the weekend, right? So if a particular stock had a piece of news or a good piece of news come out over the weekend, maybe it's gapping up. If it had a bad piece of news, maybe it's gapping down. All of that stuff can be checked very, very quickly from the movers tool. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to check things that are up, and I'm just going to go down this list here and take a look at the why is it moving. Why is it moving is usually a good enough indicator to tell me when things are what's going on. But if I don't have one, I can always click on the news tab and review the news as well. So there's a number of different things that you can do to actually get a feel for what's going on in the market. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to check the things that are up and check the news for some of those stocks. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to check the losers. I'm going to see what's down, right? And then I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm basically just going to go through this list. In some cases, we're going to have warnings or notifications about earnings or why is it moving. If I really need to dig in, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually click on the news feed. I'm going to go ahead and look through the news feed and pick out different pieces of news that might be important for what's going on here. Now, the very next thing that I'm going to do is just in case I missed some, or in case there's some information on here that's not in the movers tool, if there's some tickers that I don't see in the movers tool, or perhaps they're down a ways. The next thing that I'm actually going to do is create a news feed and just put one category filter on it. I'm going to put the WIM category on. Let me make this a little bit bigger so it's easier to see. I'm going to put the WIM category on, because what that's going to do is that's going to give me a list of every single recent WIM that we've had. And this is going to be very, very easy for me to just glance through these tickers, see if there's anything that I recognize, see if there's any pattern that I can distinguish from the tickers that are listed here. In some cases I can, in some cases you won't be able to, but this is one of the things that I'm going to take a look at. The other thing that I'm going to look at, excuse me, while I'm looking for trends, I'm also going to carry that forward to when the market opens here. All right. So as soon as the market opens, one of the things that I'm concerned with the most is not necessarily how my positions are doing, because I'll be able to get a judge of that during the pre-market. But I also want to get an idea of what kind of option flow is going on. Right. So I'm definitely going to watch the options out of the open. And the thing about the options is that there's nothing specific that I'm looking for here, right? There's no specific trade that I'm looking for. I don't know what's going to happen, number of different things. But what I am looking for is I want to see if any of those trends that I was able to look at and use while you're reviewing the news in the past tools is holding true. And so for today, there was a little bit. I noticed that that reopening plays and tech plays seem to be higher. There seemed to be some renewed optimism. I actually saw people outside not talking or thinking about the coronavirus. It seems like everyone wants to get back to normal. And so when I reviewed the options right out of the open here, I saw lots of QQQ buys. I saw Apple calls being bought, lots of tech, which has really been kind of blasted on the rising yields recently. I saw some reopening plays. I saw that some of the hotels are higher up. I saw Airbnb. So there were a number of things that I was able to discern just from kind of watching this flow. And actually, if I go ahead and open up that newsfeed again, I accidentally closed it. I apologize about that. But if I go through this WIM newsfeed, I can kind of see things that are similar here, right? MGM, Caesars Entertainment, American Airlines, Penn National Gaming, lots of stuff here that looks like there's some optimism returning here. So for me, right away, that's kind of the feel that I'm in. I kind of have a bearing for what's going on despite being AWOL, if you will, over the weekend. And what's great is that these three things that I've done here now give me three different avenues to either to continue to watch or to dive in a little bit more and see if there's any sense I can make out of what's going on. How was your weekend?
I had a great weekend. It was sunny but windy here in Detroit. Built some campfires in the backyard. But just if you're not completely unplugged, I would just say adding in those email alerts for a watch list could come in handy. Let's say you have a watch list of stocks. That way, if any press releases, SEC filings, other news items come out, you could just go to that watch list tool and then turn on those email alerts. Also, the hot category is nice too. If there's some big item that comes out over the weekend, you just might want to pay attention to that. But thanks for showing us how you open up your trading day, Ryan. Now, I'm just curious. This actually just crossed my mind. So everybody, to be fair to Ryan, I didn't give him advance notice on this. How do you use, or do you use futures at all? You know, every day you turn on the TV, right? And on CNBC, they're saying futures are up, futures are down. How do you use that when you're prepping for your trading day?
So that's a great question, Jonathan. And I'm not caught off guard at all because I've been doing this for quite a long time now. Futures drive the boat, right? They drive the bus. So if the futures are up, you can expect that the cash index is going to follow. Now, I'm in the habit of every Sunday night at 5 Central Time, so 6 Eastern Time, I check the opening print of the futures. That's twofold. Number one, because I want to see what's going on, and number two, because I'm a stock market addict. And so I'm sure I'm not alone in that. So I generally want to get an idea of the optimism on Sunday night. Remember, there's a lot of people or a lot of market participants that are probably not involved or not as involved at minimum as they are during the week. So the way I look at that opening print on the futures is it kind of gives me a first sentiment, if you will, on how the upcoming week is going to go. It can sometimes deliver optimism or pessimism if it's in the other direction. The one caveat that I will say is that quite a bit can change from Sunday night to Monday morning. The news flow can be a huge driver of that, right? So the futures could be up 100 points on Sunday night, but some really crummy piece of news could come out Monday morning or overnight and really kind of wreck that. So as far as like setting up an actual trade plan, I don't do that at all until I actually see the opening print in the morning. However, I absolutely want to gauge what's going on in the overnight sessions, and not just Sunday, but overnight all of the other days by glancing at the futures and seeing where we're at. Remember, if there's some type of world event that's going to cause the market to move in either direction, you're going to see it in the futures, even if it's after market hours. So I always like to keep one eye on that, but in terms of actual trade plan, I wait for more data and more due diligence.
Awesome. And just looking at the comments here, Dan, we can definitely do a segment later this week on dividend stocks. He's just saying it would be great to do a segment finding dividend stocks, ex-div date, pay date, and amount of dividend using the scanner. So, I mean, just to give you a heads up, we do have a calendar specific to dividends. So that'll be a great tool. We'll probably do that one on Wednesday. Ryan, anything else we want to cover today?
No, so far that's it. I mean, we look pretty good here. As I was talking here in the news feed, I actually saw a note come up about American Airlines and then also about Airbnb, right? So those were some of the Airbnb shares are trading higher amid travel optimism as more Americans continue to get vaccinated for COVID-19 and some states are loosening restrictions. I believe we also saw a headline about the TSA checking in record amounts of people since the coronavirus pandemic began. So it's those types of things that are kind of setting the stage for my trading late all this week. Now, obviously, everything's subject to change, but we'll have to wait and see how it goes.
Awesome. And just since we have another few minutes here, you know, when you can see an obvious trend like this morning, I saw an American Airlines headline, then I glance over at the TV and I see something about Spirit Airlines, capacity forecast, moving forward. How, just for you, I know you do a lot of swing trading. How do you determine whether you think that there's still meat on the bone for a swing trade there, or it's like, oh, well, if CNBC is talking about it, then the pop already happened. It's probably over by now. How would you explain that to our viewers?
So that's another real great question. As far as if there's meat on the bone, you never really know when something is going to end. When some type of momentum run is going to end. So with that, you kind of have to play the odds and in some cases play percentage targets that you may have. In the case of reopening, I think that there's a lot of pent up demand. I think there's a lot of pent up frustration and just tired of being at home. So in this particular catalyst, I'm willing to bet that there's more room to run. Well, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to try to make a shopping list, right? I'm going to try to trade in themes or buckets of stocks that I think are going to be affected by this catalyst. I think the reopening catalyst is going to be a strong one. So I want to take leaders in different spaces. So for hospitality, I want to take things like Wynn or Marriott Casinos, or even Airbnb, which is one of the tickers we saw this morning. And then I want to consider other things, airlines like Delta, American Airlines, maybe even United Airlines. It's not necessarily, I want to look for a theme, and then I kind of want to drill down into the stocks that I think are the most probable to move over that given time, which is one of the reasons I start with industry leaders. When I see things on CNBC, I'll often take a look at the chart and try to wait for a pullback, because a lot of the times I'll see that on a day like today, there's some optimism. All right, well, things might be a little bit different tomorrow. We might retrace some of that move, and that's going to give me a better entry. Not to say that the thesis is going to change, but the price of the stock that I'm trying to get into may change. And that just on its own may give me an ability to enter, give me a slight discount on whatever it is that I'm looking for.
Awesome. And just so everybody knows, you could also use the charts on Benzinga Pro along with indicators and all that good stuff to map out, all right, how much am I waiting for that pullback, and at what point do I want to enter?
Am I at support or resistance?
Yeah,
if
exactly.
You're at resistance, then maybe that's not the best time to enter until you see that resistance level fall on volume. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do that.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us today, everybody. And I think we have a different segment that happens on Tuesdays. So we'll be back here with you on Wednesday morning. Have a great day.
What up? What up? Time for a news desk update. Let's bring on my man, Steve Kraus, the Newsmaster General here at Benzinga. Steve, what up, sir? How we doing?
Good morning. Good morning, Spence. Happy Monday.
Good morning. I know you must have spent the whole weekend just reading news as you do every weekend, right?
That's all I do.
That's all you do.
That's how I get my coffee with news. That's how I eat my dinner with news. Yep. It's all day, every day.
News and games, right?
I lost an hour of reading news this weekend because of daylight savings.
I know.
What are you going to do?
Them was the breaks.
I know. But I'm catching up this morning on some stuff from this morning.
Good.
Which is so the first thing I'm looking at is AstraZeneca. Now this is newer news, as in the last 15 minutes.
Oh.
So shares are pulling back a little bit. I mean, I guess they're rebounding a little bit here, but
I think they're talking about it right now on CNBC. That could have an impact. I don't know if it is.
So AstraZeneca vaccines are being pulled from Germany and from Italy because of a death. So in Italy, they reported a death from a man who got the vaccine, and in Germany, there were concerns about blood clots from the health ministry. And so basically, there's some concern, at least, of the health efficacy from AstraZeneca. Now we got some mixed news because they also got, in England, the Prime Minister Johnson said that, he thinks it's safe, but again, it's a little bit of mixed news there for AstraZeneca. Not the best news though. And
weren't there a couple reports over the weekend of blood clots with the AstraZeneca vaccine, but then they had to come out and say, look, it's not as serious as the headlines would have you believe.
Correct. Yeah. They're doing some damage control this morning on those headlines. Yep. But the stock is about flat, so we'll see.
Yeah. And again, when like the odds are, if you're giving something to millions of people, that like there's going to be some adverse effects, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Right. Okay. What about elsewhere in the COVID vaccine space, healthcare biotech space? Because I saw we had a headline also. This isn't necessarily a COVID headline, but Eli Lilly, which is involved in sort of the COVID race here. They had a headline this morning that nothing to do with COVID, but their Alzheimer's drug, which I guess with the exception of Biogen, Eli Lilly is probably the furthest along in clinical trials right now for a biotech or for a Alzheimer's drug. And I guess their phase 2 study had some mixed results, some good news and some bad news.
Correct. Yeah. The Alzheimer's treatment is kind of like the, holy grail of biotechs.
It is the white whale for sure.
Yeah. It's the one that keeps on, knocking people down over and over again. And it looks like even a giant like Eli Lilly is stumbling here with some mixed results here. Let's see. So, their drug trial met the trial's primary endpoint by slowing down the rate of cognitive and daily function decline by 32%.
Yep.
But let's see here. It's sustaining the same level of cognitive skills after 18 months. So it looks like it's doing just okay.
Okay.
It's not like, a blockbuster drug here. I think that's kind of the mixed results, is that it's doing just okay.
I always think back to that Biogen. If I can pull up a daily, you can see exactly when they had news.
Yep.
There's some good news there, and we were waiting on it for like a year, and then that I think it was that gap down. That was one of those two. I don't remember which, but okay. What else was on your radar besides outside of the biotech realm?
So we have a FOMC meeting coming up on Wednesday. So regular, some big macro news.
I'm so excited.
Aren't you? Good old Jay Powell. No, I'm not excited. Yeah, it's honestly, there's no indication rates are going to change. There's no indication that the Fed's going to stop, doing what they're doing, which is good, right? Keep the money printer go, Burr. And
Money printer go burr.
money printer go burr. And then speaking of macro news, we also have the yields above 1.6% today.
10-year.
Yeah, the 10-year yields. Yeah,
Okay.
above one. So 1.611 is the last note that I see.
Okay.
So yeah. So if you're seeing some declines in stocks today, could be the yields are having an effect here on the markets.
Okay. All right. What else?
Well, there really was not a ton of other news this morning, so I was wondering if the chat had anything that they wanted to go over, any tickers that they wanted to see.
Solar Open Up asked about Alibaba.
Oh, yes, of course. How could I forget? So Alibaba had news this morning that the Chinese government is basically requiring Alibaba to divest its media assets, including South China Morning Post, which is they
own that? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I didn't know they own that either, but they basically are being asked to divest South China Morning Post. They own stake in Weibo, which is the messaging app.
Yeah, WB.
Yep.
There. So let's bring up WB.
Yep. They own
and then and Sina, right? Because Sina and Weibo are like the same company.
Yep.
Much,
so Alibaba is basically being asked, which in China is not really asked, right? It's being told to divest in these big media assets, which is a big loss for Baba. South China Morning Post is a very good news source, a very good publication, definitely pro China slant, but they do very good reporting. And,
but how much revenue do they bring in?
I think it's more of a show of force of how much the Chinese government has an effect on Baba, right? That's no matter how big they get, they can still be bossed around, which is not a good sign.
And the thing about owning like a paper like that, it doesn't do much for your bottom line, but it does a lot for your influence and your cachet, right?
Right. So, Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post, right?
Right.
Which is good for his philanthropic note. So if he was forced to get rid of it, that would not look good for him. Now, again, wouldn't necessarily affect Amazon, I don't think, but it's actual Baba that owns South China.
Right. So more of an indication of Alibaba. Jack Ma is the richest man in the country. Alibaba is I think second largest company in the country, but maybe behind Tencent. And the point is there. Okay, maybe influence. Maybe. Well, we know that the government is taking a more hands-on approach to regulation, which they never did before.
Yep. So that's kind of the theme that if you want a Chinese theme for 2021, and it was a big theme in 2020. Obviously, COVID was like a big theme, but aside from that, it was regulation. Is increased regulation on gambling, on social media, on pretty much across the board, on finance across the board in Chinese companies. So expect that to be a continuing theme throughout 2021.
All right, chat's asking about SOS. This is a crypto play, right?
Yes, yeah. They had news this morning that they've installed a second batch of crypto mining machines.
Really?
And, moved 5,000 cryptocurrency miners, which is that seems like a pretty big deal. So
God, so how much electricity are these guys using? Probably a lot, right?
A lot. Quite a bit. I mean, from my recent understanding, that crypto mining is the largest or one of the largest uses of electricity in the world. So it's
So this is interesting. Yeah. So SOS though 20% on a day where Bitcoin is actually at least the futures are actually down.
Correct.
What about the rest of the Bitcoin plays like Riot? So Riot's down. No, Riot's up. That's incorrected.
Marathon's up.
Okay, so the crypto stocks are all up on a day.
I think all the Bitcoin plays are up right now because the Bitcoin passed 60,000 over the weekend, and it's selling off now.
Yeah, that was $5,000 ago. I mean, we're at 56 now.
I know, but maybe the market's finally able to price in that that move higher, and maybe they're assuming that some of these companies took some profits, sold some Bitcoin, are using those assets. I don't know.
You have this weird lag between the Bitcoin market and the Bitcoin stocks, in that obviously the Bitcoin market never stops trading. So you wake up Monday morning, earliest you can trade these guys is what do I have? Oh yeah, Mara. You got maybe you trade in the pre-market. If not, you wait till 9:30 a.m. By that point, by 9:30 a.m. this morning, Bitcoin futures will come all the way back. And
Yep. Yeah, look, there's a huge dip down from the $58,000 level, around 5 this morning, and yeah, look at that rundown. It's just a steady rundown from 61,000.
So you get this weird lag, but the stocks themselves don't seem to really care about that sell off. They're still playing catch up to.
Yeah. It looks like the market is just pricing in the 61,000, and and any news of more crypto mining machines is good for a company. So
yes. Okay, Joshua Phillip is asking to look at Facebook. Have you seen anything about Facebook this morning?
I saw that in the chat and I looked at it. The only news I'm seeing on Facebook is that they're going to start labeling COVID-19 vaccine stuff more clearly, which I don't necessarily know how bullish that is at this point. It's a little, it's one of those thanks, I guess, a little late to the game, but better late than never. But yeah, it's up 1.4%. It looks like it spiked in the at the open, and with the whole market flat. The tech itself is doing relatively well this morning. Tesla's up 1.5%. I guess not tech across the board is not doing well.
Today's a really mixed day.
It is a mixed day. Microsoft down 1.2%, Apple up 1.5%.
Yeah. Really mixed. You see, so Microsoft. So the Qs, right? The Qs are up. 50 cents. 47 cents. So that should tell you, okay, we got some tech in the green. That being said, though, Microsoft is down. Apple's up.
Netflix down.
Netflix down. They just announced the Oscars this morning. I don't know. That's probably nothing to do with it. But
no, but their movie Mank has 10 nominations. Not that that matters.
What does?
Mank, which is a movie about Citizen Kane. A movie about the making of Citizen Kane. Classic Hollywood, a movie about movies.
It's a movie about Hollywood, of course.
Exactly.
Okay.
Of course. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Back to the tech theme. Like how's Google doing today? Google is down. Right. Yep. What about Tesla? Tesla's up. There's no real rhyme or reason. Airlines are up. Yeah.
I was going to say airlines reopening is up.
Yeah. Reopening trades on, but with respect to tech, no real rhyme or reason. Right.
Yeah, I think we're kind of just chugging along. There's a lot of earnings fatigue going on, and I think that tech is just it's rotating in all these kind of weird ways that Tesla's not really moving like Bitcoin. I guess Bitcoin's down 0.5%, so Tesla's only up 1.3%. If Bitcoin were up 5%, maybe Tesla would be up 10%. Who knows?
Yeah. And let's see how the value's off. The energy's off. What about the banks?
Now AMC's up.
Banks are off.
AMC's up above $13. If we want to talk about Wall Street bets.
AMC's up over 13.
It's up 22%. So AMC's running today. So if you're looking for a Wall Street bets YOLO stock,
GameStop's up. GameStop's up too, but not nearly.
Yeah. GameStop's up a little bit. Someone said Palantir in the chat. Palantir is down about 1%. Yeah, so there's
weird day. Weird day. It's still early.
Very weird mixed day. Yeah,
it's early, but in a sense, it's not early because by 11 o'clock, you generally have a good sense of what the day is going to be. And
if you even look at the open in the S&P, it was high volume consolidation. The real market really could not decide. It just kind of trended downwards, but it really is having a tough time deciding on today.
Yeah. So very interesting. All right, Steve Kraus is the Newsmaster General at Benzinga. Let me. Do I have your Twitter handle up here? I don't know if I do. I should.
At Steve underscore Kraus.
At Steve underscore Kraus. I'm going to put it up there. So at Steve underscore. There is Steve's Twitter handle. He's on the Benzinga Newsdesk. He does our squawking sometimes. And he is a news junkie, to put it lightly.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Good luck, traders.
Thanks a lot, Steve.
See you later, Spence.
All righty. It is 10:59, so let me wrap and transition to SPAC's attack. Again, as I mentioned on pre-market prep this morning, the CEO and founder of Owlet, the ticker is SBG. That's the SPAC with which they are merging, Sandbridge acquisition. He'll be on SPAC's attack at 11:15. Kurt Workman is his name. Everyone also, please hit that like button. Please hit that like button. Please hit that like button. Thank you very much. Okay, let me make sure that they're good to go on SPACs, and we will transition to that. And then I'll see you for my ETF show, 2:00 Eastern. We're going to talk ETFs. We're going to talk longer term investing, not so much the short term stuff, more the longer term stuff, which is more fun in my opinion, and less stressful as well. So okay, 11:00. Let me see if they're live. Regardless, I'm gonna head out, and we got SPACs, we got Power Hour, then ETF show at 2:00. Everyone, again, hit that like button. Thank you very much, and I'll see you a little bit later.